So YouTube has announced several changes to its platform. They made these announcements in conjunction with its event Made on YouTube that I think they do every year. And most of these announcements really focus on creators and enhancements to the platform that will hopefully boost their work. These are changes that are going to roll out slowly for the rest of this year and then is moving also into next year. So here's a few. I think these are, I don't know if these are all the announcements, but these are the ones that actually stuck out to me. So a couple of the changes and updates here. So I think the biggest one, the ones that began the most attention by like the trades, like traditional media outlets, is this idea that YouTube is now going to start letting creators organize their content by seasons and episodes, right? Deadline notes that YouTube accounted for 11% of TV viewership this past August, right? So for every 100 people, 11 people are watching YouTube as like their TV entertainment, right? And the YouTube chief product officer, Johanna Vulic, said, I have a quote from her saying, quote, "To help our creators' content shine on TVs, they will soon be able to organize their content into seasons and episodes, making it easy for viewers to tune in to the new must-see TV. We're making other improvements to the TV experience with immersive content that plays directly from a creator's channel, streamlined subscription options, and easier access to links in description," end quote. So this is a reflection of how again, the YouTube TV app has grown in its use and prominence and importance for both YouTube and creators. Vulic noted a 30% year-over-year increase in the number of creators who make a majority of their YouTube revenue on TV screens, right? As opposed to on your computer or on your phone. People seem to really enjoy watching YouTube as if it's just regular TV, as if it's like streaming, right? So there's this effort, I guess, to kind of make YouTube a place for all kinds of content. Because you can get YouTube TV, right? Which is basically you pay whatever it is, like $80 a month, and you have access to basically all of regular television channels, like linear channels. There's no streaming really on YouTube, but you can basically rent or buy basically every movie that exists, and you can watch all this free user-generated content, right? So this move to try to organize the content into seasons and episodes as if like you're on Netflix or something really, again, reinforces YouTube's effort to make YouTube like the go-to place for everyone's content entertainment. And again, the UI is going to seemingly be very similar. So it's going to blur the line between quote-unquote professional content and user-generated content. Another kind of change or update that YouTube is going to be implementing is a lot more integration with Google's AI tools, right? So this includes a few things. So they're going to improve the website's Dream Screen functionality. So I never heard of this, but this is like a function on YouTube that allows creators to use AI for graphics and backgrounds and other visuals. But then on top of that, the inspiration tab in like the creator kind of portal is going to now be able to suggest video topics, right? So you could like search and interpret a certain topic. It could provide you a title and even like a potential thumbnail, and even go as far as write out an outline and the first few lines for you for such an episode, or video rather. And they're really framing this as a useful brainstorming tool, right? Which is what I've always said about AI, that this idea of it's going to replace writers, blah, blah, blah. I don't even think even the best AI can ever really replace writers completely, because AI by definition is derivative. So it can write something really well, but it'll always at its core be derivative or kind of playing off of something else. You'll see people use it to replace, like social media copywriters, right? Because that doesn't need to be, it needs to be derivative. Like it doesn't need to be Shakespeare. But when it comes to like real content, like nutritious content in a sense, AI will never replace that. And I've always felt ChatGPT and things like that are very useful for brainstorming. Say, give me 10 ideas for this. Usually I'll never do any of the 10 ideas, but reading one of them might make me think of some other random thing, and then I come up with an idea that way. So this could be useful, right? That framing that YouTube is doing here is not necessarily disingenuous. The Verge, though, does note that these suggested videos would presumably perform very well in YouTube's algorithm. The idea that YouTube's AI would suggest you make a certain video and then it not do well in the algorithm seems counterintuitive. Though, again, this could create a huge deluge of videos. Like I was saying, if they're all derivative, but eventually they'll become derivative works of derivative works, and it'll just create this feedback loop. But again, I think enough people just enjoy creating for its own sake that I don't think that it will completely go away. But then another really interesting implementation of artificial intelligence will be auto-dubbing of videos in multiple languages. So, in the not-too-distant future, someone from Singapore could be watching this video, and they'll be able to use AI to translate the video in my voice. So it sounds like I'm speaking. I'm really going to seem ignorant. I have no idea what language they speak in Singapore. What language do they speak? Is it just Singaporean? There's many official languages: English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. Okay. And English is the most commonly used language. Okay, but you get my point. That is, I think, really useful. And that could help people reach new communities. Because for all I know, my videos would play really well in Zimbabwe or something, So I think that's a really useful use of AI. And I think it's very useful when people talk about doing something like that for films, right? Instead of having someone dub it, you can literally just use AI so it's the same voice. It's just they're speaking a different language. Another addition that YouTube is going to be implementing, or rather, not quite addition, because I think this has already existed, but really leaning into it and making it a key part of the YouTube creator experience, is what they're calling communities. So it's described as, quote, a central hub to discuss videos, share fan art, connect with like-minded individuals, and build a vibrant sense of belonging, end quote. So that's a lot of corporate-y, kind of feel-good language there. It really just sounds like Discord, right? I think that's who they're trying to compete with here. It kind of feels like creator-specific Discords, but instead of having them on Discord or like a Reddit, a subreddit, it's all directly on YouTube, right? And that makes sense because Google and YouTube want to keep people on the YouTube platform and keep people engaged with their favorite creators, right? They don't want you going off somewhere else. And again, this is an expansion of existing functionality, but really it's only existed for creators to post non-video posts, like text posts. I've done it a few times, like putting polls up for stuff. And The Verge notes that most creators don't even use this function. And as a subscriber of other people's channels, I've never cared about seeing, have they posted something? I really don't care. If I really wanted to see their posts, I would go follow them like on Twitter or Facebook or something. And this is interesting, really trying to, again, compete with Discord and Reddit in this sense, because it really leans into what I call the pseudo-social network aspect of YouTube. Because YouTube is weird, because it's not quite a streaming website, but it's not quite a social media, but it's not a social media and not a streaming. Like, it exists in this weird kind of nebulous space where it's not its own thing, and it's not two other things. It's kind of like this weird mesh of stuff. So I'm sure they're thinking like, let's lean into the social connection aspect. Because again, if nothing else, it gets people, if you're engaged in one of these communities, you're more likely to go watch that creator's videos in the future, and that's obviously ad revenue, and the cycle repeats itself. But the most interesting addition, I think, because everything I've described makes sense, it kind of just feels like evolutions of the same thing. This last one, though, is, I think, really cool and revolutionary. Maybe revolutionary is a strong word, but I think it's neat. So it's going to be what they're calling the hype feature, which you can see above me, like the little logo. So what the hype feature is going to be? So it's going to allow, YouTube is going to allow, the idea of this is that it allows users and fellow creators to promote smaller channels. So YouTube acknowledges that channels with over 500,000 subscribers grow exponentially, and it kind of becomes a cycle, right? So big channels get more views begets more impressions beget more views begets more revenue, and it just cycles over and over and becomes this snowball effect. So to a certain point, the bigger channels don't really need the algorithm as much anymore. Not that they don't need it at all, but they don't really need it as much. But they're the ones who are getting outsized benefit from it. Like, they're getting more and more play in the algorithm, right? So the way the hype feature will work, so there's going to be a new button now where you can click to hype the video. This button the videos will only be eligible within the first 7 days of being published. And it'll only be for channels with less than 500,000 subscribers, right? So users can choose to hype a video, to click that button. Users will get 3 hypes a week for free. Potentially, there's plans maybe down the road where they'll offer paid hype. So like you have your first 3 for free, but if you're really passionate about a certain creator, you could pay a little extra to do an extra hype. And then the creators who get those hypes will get like a small payout for their videos that are being hyped. And the most hyped videos will appear on a platform-wide leaderboard. Again, so the idea is that it's really going to focus specifically on smaller channels. A channel like this, perhaps. So if you're watching this and you haven't already, please like and subscribe, right? Because I'm like the target demographic of this, right? Smaller channels that the people who find it and watch it seem to like it, but it's just not enough traction to really ever cross a certain threshold. And know that unlike trending, the hype feature, this is going to highlight what people are recommending, not what they're watching, right? Because a video that, trending just shows videos that a lot of people are watching, but a lot of people might be watching them and not liking it. Whereas this would actually be a much more of an endorsement for your video. I got a quote here from Bangale Kaba, who's the director of product management at YouTube, saying, quote, "We really wanted to allow the fans to lean in as community members to help support their favorite creators," end quote. And again, this is a move that would highlight videos to users that the traditional algorithm wouldn't recommend. And it doesn't, in the algorithm isn't recommending it, not because the person wouldn't like it, just because of the way the algorithm is set up. Just certain things, it's just mathematically not ever going to happen. So for all of these announcements, the hype, the AI, the community seems to be the big buzzword here. I have another quote here from Kaba saying, quote, "Some of the research told us that viewers want to influence the creative process. We also heard feedback that they want to contribute to the conversation," end quote. People also wanted cameo-style videos. They want to do Q&As and so on and so forth. So, people want to be engaged. Like, there is, again, that social network element, or should I say parasocial, right? There's this parasocial thing on YouTube. I think YouTube is very clear that they want to capitalize on that even more than they already have. And so in summary, YouTube has always been a strong place for creators, right, to make money. The YouTube Partner Program, the ad sharing goes all the way back to like 2007. I've been on YouTube, making YouTube videos on and off since probably around then. I always dreamed of becoming a YouTube partner, and that, of course, has not happened. But this has been consistently for almost 2 decades now. One of the best place for the creator economy, right? So 55%. This is insane. You would think, okay, yeah, maybe they share the revenue a little bit, but I'm sure YouTube takes most of it. 55% of ad revenue on a video goes to the creator. If they are able to monetize, if they meet the eligibility requirements. That's way more than any other platform by leaps and bounds. And I think it's because the company understands their business lives and dies by creators wanting to be on YouTube. So ultimately YouTube, Google, it's still an evil corporation, and I'm not trying to put that past them. But at least the revenue sharing is somewhat fair. Or at least it's leagues ahead of what anyone else is doing. And again, things like the hype feature especially, I think are going to be really valuable, again, for channels like myself, the smaller channels, because eligibility for monetization is still really difficult, right? So for those of you who don't know, basically in order to be eligible to monetize your videos, you need 4,000 watch hours within a 365-day period. So if you're able to hit 4,000 hours but it takes you 500 days, well, tough luck. It needs to be within a 365-day period. You also need 1,000 subscribers. I right now am like on track to maybe by 365 days of having uploaded content, maybe hit around 3,000 watch hours. But I only have like maybe a little over 200 subscribers. So if you're watching this is a great reminder. Please like and subscribe on this video, because it really does help with the algorithm as it's built up right now. We got a comment here from M, just M. Love your insights as a well, thank you, M, with multiple exclamation points. As a cultural economist, thank you so much for the content. It's what I always wanted. Cheers from Cali. Oh, thank you, M. That's so great. I'm super happy to have people on the West Coast. Hopefully, you're either off of work or you're kind of maybe watching this still at work, because it's like 3, almost only 4 o'clock maybe there. Super happy to have people. Anyone else who's watching, feel free to drop in the chat where you're watching from. I always get a kick seeing where people are based.